Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we are going to be opening up the mailbag. This is being recorded super early in the morning on a Sunday right before the Rams play the Eagles. So if you're watching this after the Eagles game, just know I recorded it before the Eagles game. Hopefully, if you're watching it after the Eagles game, you're watching it in celebration and not depression. I wish I could give you more on that, but it is what it is. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for all your responses. 69 comments. Nice. Which is essentially the most we've ever had for the mailbag. And it's getting crazy, man. 69 comments. All right. We won't take as long for each comment. If you provoke a thought, I'm going to give it to you, but we won't take as long each comment like we normally do. With that said, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to check everything out on social media at JK Bogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor of the mailbag is Prize Picks. And I got a nice little lineup for you guys today. If you're watching this and there's time, Will Howard is the freebie. You got to get in on the action there. Demarcus Robinson, more than 18.5 receiving yards. Kyron Williams, more than 75.5 rushing yards. Puka Nacua, more than 2.5 rushing yards. Tyler Higbee, more than 28.5 receiving yards. And Dallas Goedert, more than 3.5 receptions. That is my lineup. Use promo code JKBogan, and you are going to get $50 instantly when you play at least a $5 lineup. This should be your $5 lineup, and then you get $50 instantly whether you win or lose. If you win, it's $125. If you lose, you still get $50. So check that out over on Prize Picks. And now we get into this. And actually, before we get into this, just want to guide your attention over here real quick to the lounge. It's been a lot of fun. We are killing it right now because of you guys. Just had Matthew Stafford's personal chef on. We had Ariel Epstein. We had Paul from Heavy Spoilers and Lucky Witherspoon. Those have been our guests so far. So be sure to check that out. Link is in the description below. Would really appreciate a sub. Just check it out. If you're a Rams fan on this channel and you're like, it's not really my cup of tea, that one with Chef Chris is quite honestly the perfect one for you. It's very Rams centered, so check it out and let me know what you guys think. All right, well, now it's time to get to the mailbag. So we'll start off, usual. Start from the bottom, go to the top, all of that, although it seems like these are all out of whack. So let's do this by, if we can filter, we'll sort by newest first and go all the way down and give people that responded first, of course. Give people that responded first here the first tab. So first comment is my buddy Jack, Starblade125, 4 days ago. If you could take any retired NFL player who never played for the Rams, I already love this comment, and add them at their peak to this current Rams team, who would it be? So I got my quarterback taken care of. I got most of the defense taken care of. And then, it's going to be a wide receiver. I want to get somebody next to Puka Nacua. So if I could take anybody, I'm going to take Jerry Rice. Separation is not an issue for him. The greatest route runner ever. Give me Jerry Rice alongside Puka Nacua. Or let's just have a little fun with this. Matthew Stafford throwing to Pete Calvin Johnson and Puka Nacua. Yeah, give me that. I love Jerry Rice, but man, if I could reunite Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, I'd have to do that. So I'm going to go with Calvin Johnson. But that's a great question. 80-99 would be unstoppable. Maybe Torrey Holt just to have a triple threat. I thought you said who never played for the Rams. Oh, okay, that's somebody else answering. Yeah, I was going to say, never played for the Rams. I'm going to go with Calvin Johnson. Randy Moss would be in the discussion, and of course Jerry Rice. Those would be like my three options, but I think I'd go with a wide receiver, or I would go with Rob Gronkowski at tight end because I think he's the greatest tight end of all time. You talk about the blocking, the receiving. It would be a weapon for Matthew Stafford. That's for sure. Thanks, Jack. Great question. Thought-provoking as hell. EADG_official. In what scenario do the Rams beat Philadelphia? The Rams play their style of game, which is unconventional this year. Not really what they're normally used to playing under Sean McVay, but they kill the clock, they bleed the clock, they let the defense take care of business, bend, do not break, and I think they can win that way, especially in the snow. And as well, what would they have to do to their current roster to be able to make another deep playoff run next year and possibly win another Super Bowl? The easy answer to this to me is running it back with the same talent they have. I think that's good enough, and they'd all get better. I think just another year with each other. If they ran back the same defense, I think they'd be really good. Now, if you want to be sure of it, on the offense, because I do believe next year, if you brought back Tutu Atwell on the offensive side, you used him more, you let Jordan Whittington cook, this offense would be really, really good. Now, at the same time, if you want to just know what I think that they should do real quick, I think they should bring back Akello. I think they should bring back most of the defensive guys like Hoyt, Bobby Brown, all of that. They don't have a lot of guys to replace. So bring back Roseboom, all of that. Draft a linebacker, whatever. Love their edge. Don't feel like they need to go out and get an edge, even though I know a lot of people want so-and-so and, big names and all that. The offense. I go out, I draft a tight end high either in the first round or the second round. You're picking low in the first round, so maybe you trade up to get Tyler Warren, whatever. Then what I would do is I would sign Josh Palmer in free agency. I would make an attempt to get a Chris Godwin or, make attempt to trade for a Garrett Wilson if available, or even Chris Olave if available. I would really try to find another receiver that can, kind of be the 1A, 1B to Puka Nacua, and I would try to find a tight end. I love the running back. I love Kyren Williams. I would work on extending him. Matthew Stafford I wouldn't replace, and the offensive line's fine. I mean, I would have loved Garrett Bowles, but he's not available. He re-signed with the Broncos. Alec Jackson's probably the best option at tackle, so I would say bring back Alec Jackson on kind of like maybe a 2-year deal. Not super long, but 2-year deal. Draft Havenstein's replacement long term. You don't have to replace him now, but draft maybe a right tackle in the third round or what have you. And I like everything else that they've done. I don't think they have a ton of needs. They rebuild on the fly. I don't need a shutdown corner. I used to love Jair Alexander, and 2 years ago I would have been all over trading for Jair Alexander, but now I just think they need to roll with what they have, and if they want to draft a corner, like a Mello Dotson, or somebody like that in the middle of the draft, by all means, that's totally great. But I love what they're doing. I love having Emmanuel Forbes down the line. Darion Kendrick, they were really high on before he got hurt, and his development, and AJ Green on their practice squad they like, and Josh Wallace and Charles Woods, and they got all these guys like Cam Lampkin. And then you have Darius Williams and Kobe Durant and Akello. And so I just feel like there's a lot of talent there at corner. I'm not just quite ready to just give up on. Trey Tomlinson as well. So that's what I would say there. Jake, have you noticed this year in more recent games that Shula is having Michael Hoyt drop into coverage just like Raheem Morris did last year, and we got burned pretty much every single time? I'm starting to see that show up again. Your thoughts? P-Train, what's up? I'm not seeing it as much, and to be honest with you, I'm not too worried about it. Hoyt is fine. They were asking him to not just like hook zone coverages. They were asking him to basically carry the seam down the field, with Dallas Goedert last year and so forth. So when you're asking him to do that, that's putting him in kind of a rough spot. But if he's just covering hook zones, he can do that. And what I mean by hook zones is like you have a zone where, say like the linebacker's here and then his zone goes out to the sideline and he has to stay in that zone and you're basically, covering the sideline, right? I am okay with him doing that. He could shove a guy out of bounds. He can be there. What I don't want is him having to chase down somebody and play man coverage. When you put him on man coverage, that's ridiculous. If he drops into a hook zone, not like a deep zone, but just like a hook zone into the flat, no issue with that whatsoever. I don't. I know some people do. I personally don't, but I haven't seen enough of it to really say. So those are my thoughts. P-Train as well says, Jake, have you seen a recent article where Kirby Joseph is blaming Stafford for his dirty player rap? Kirby goes on to say, if you've seen it all on film, why'd you throw the ball across the middle? I own that. Sounds to me like he's saying, if I'm going to hit you guys low, don't throw it across the middle. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what he was saying. He's, heading to Cabo, so who cares about him? But yeah, I just karma, man, right? I'm recording this like right after the live stream I did after the Lions lost to the Commanders, like I said they would. Thanks for the comments, P-Train. Appreciate your participation. Watt, run it. If AD never retired, what do you think would be different about the Rams this year, roster and success-wise? If AD never retired, I think they would have put more of an emphasis on tight end. I do. They tried to get Dalton Kincaid 2 years ago. This past year, or last year, they tried to get Bowers this past draft. I think they're clearly interested in getting another tight end. And looking what Tyler Higbee did in that game against the Vikings in one quarter, and then he gets hurt. It goes to show you, like, this team clearly values tight end. It's just Higbee, everything going on with the injury after the Lions game and all that. Like, they've wanted to get another guy with him for a while. Love Davis Allen. I think he's got potential. I see him more as a John Bates. Like, I'm just being honest here. Now, he could end up being something more than that, but I think really the way I see Davis Allen is this. John Bates is a solid tight end, but John Bates to me is a 2 or a 3. I know he pretty much starts for Washington. He's not great. He's solid. I feel like the ceiling and the hope is that he ends up being like a Jake Ferguson, maybe a Dalton Schultz type. I'm talking about Davis Allen. A lot of things that he did at Clemson really stand out. So his story is not written. He could very well end up being really good, but I'm ready to move on from him being the starter. I'm ready to move on and go out and get a guy that will be a game-breaking player, a Sam Laporta-esque guy, a George Kittle type of guy, a Travis Kelce. I want to get one of those, Brock Bowers. I want an elite pass catcher at tight end. It's why I suggested David Njoku. I know it's why a lot of people bring up Kyle Pitts. I think that is the direction the Rams should look in. We'll see if they do. But I appreciate that. If the Rams win the Super Bowl, what are some things you could see the media saying to discredit the Rams like they always do? I don't think there's anything you can say, man. If they win another one, Stafford has 2 Super Bowls. The Rams found a way to get it done. I mean, what can you possibly say to discredit them? That the Lions got eliminated? They eliminated the Vikings. They had to play the Eagles in the snow. If they do that, I mean, they'd have to beat a Washington team that just went into Detroit and bullied them. And that was a 15-win Detroit Lions team. And the Rams will have to play one of the 3 Chiefs, Ravens, Bills. It's still a crazy road, even though they don't have to play a 15-win Lions team. Regardless, it is a crazy road. So I don't know what they would say, and I don't really care, frankly. But I just don't know how you could say anything to discredit them if they do that. What is your GOAT all-time Rams offense and defense? Oh, good Lord. That is going to be tough. So let me do this real quick. We are going to say, and this is off the top of my head, so I might not be able to remember everybody, but we're going to go with quarterback. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. It's Matthew Stafford or Kurt Warner for me. I'm going to go with Stafford. Running back, I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Dickerson or Falk. And Todd Gurley will be my third string. I'll use Dickerson and Falk split back because I'm a genius like that. No one wants to do it that way. Fine, I'll do it. Wide receiver. I'm going to use, let's see, we got, 5 receivers? How many receivers we keep? 5, 6? I mean, it'd be easy to do 6. I mean, if we did Bruce, Holt, Ellard, Cup, Crazy Legs Hirsch, that's 4. And then, Jackson maybe. Depends on if you look at Tom Fears, you got Jack Snow, but those are the 4 main guys, I think. Then tight end is Tyler Higbee and Pete Holohan and Billy Truex. Those would be the the 3. Left tackle would be, that's actually not easy. I'll say Orlando Pace / Andrew Whitworth. I don't care who plays left tackle there. They're both amazing. I'm leaning towards Whitworth, though. Either way, they're both amazing. Guard, Kent Hill, and Dennis Hara. Center, we're going to go with Doug or Rich Saul. I don't know which one we're going to go with. Doug Smith or Rich Saul. I guess I'm going to go with Doug Smith. But yeah, Hara, and then you got Kent Hill, and then right tackle is obvious. You got Mr. Ram. He played 20 years with the team. And it's so obvious his name is escaping me. Why is that? Jackie Slater. There we go. So defensive line. At that point, what defense are you running? Well, it doesn't really matter, right? We'll just give 4 defensive linemen. We'll give, just defensive line. So Donald, Merlin Olsen, Deacon Jones, Jack Youngblood. We'll go, Coy Bacon will be in there. Man. Yeah, that's not easy. But, I mean, you get my point. You get, like, yeah, that'd be the main. You'd also have, I can't even remember his name. Kevin Green. Yeah, so you'd have Kevin Green. And then linebackers, you'd have, like, Maxie Bond. You'd have Les Richter. Isaiah Robertson, rest in peace. I think those would be my linebackers. Honorable mentions, London Fletcher. London Fletcher, Roman Pfeiffer. You'd have James Laurinaitis would be, Jim Youngblood. Those are some honorable mentions there. Cornerback, I'm going to go with, and again, this is all off the top of my head. What's his name? The guy who went to the Packers coaching staff, Jerry Gray. There we go. Jerry Gray, Jalen Ramsey, Leroy Irvin. I mean, all-time corners, Night Train Lane, obviously. So, I mean, those would be like the 4 guys there. Honorable mentions would probably be like Todd Light, Dre Bly. Those would be honorable mentions, like off the top of my head. Safety. So we would definitely go with Eddie Meter, who has the interceptions record on the Rams. So Eddie Meter, Dave Elmendorf would be up there. Obviously, Miss Jayhawk Ram, another one. Nolan Cromwell. It would be Cromwell and Eddie Meter for the starters. Elmendorf would be a backup. I'd probably use Aeneas Williams as a backup. And then honorable mention. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. I mean, Adam Archuleta, you got Oshimigo Atogwe. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. John Johnson, Rodney McLeod. I mean, just kind of all those guys, right? Kicker, I'm going to go with Matt Gay. I think Matt Gay is the best kicker the Rams have had. I do. Now, I think Cardi could end up being that, but I'm going to go with Matt Gay. Honorable mention would go to Greg Zuerlein. Jeff Wilkins was accurate, but Jeff Wilkins didn't have the leg that Zuerlein did. So I'll go with Matt Gay and Greg Zuerlein. And punter would be Johnny Hecker. Honorable mention would probably be Donnie Jones. And then kick returner, kick returner could be Tony Horn. It could be... I think I like Tony Horn there. And then punt returner would be, of course, the Iceman, Leroy Irvin. So, yeah, that's the team. I did that all off the top of my head. Yeah. I probably am missing guys. I apologize if I am, but I have a lot of Rams knowledge. It's just like that type of comment, which is fantastic, takes a lot of brain power. And I'm recording this at 3:20 a.m. So the fact that I listed all those off, I think I did pretty well. And I didn't forget Jim Youngblood in the honorable mentions because that is my dad's favorite player. Anyway, Watt, run it. The Rams can't possibly afford to pay our young stars like Puka, Kyren, Avila, Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Fisk, Q Lake, Cardi, Ethan Evans, and Verse all in the upcoming few years, can they? Who do you see them spending big money on, and who do you see them having to let walk? Man, it's early, right? You got 2 more years of Puka before you have to pay him. Kyren's next year. I think they keep Kyren. I know a lot of people will be surprised by it. Oh, they don't pay running backs. Yeah, but they don't make running backs like Kyren Williams, guys that are that good in pass protection, guys that are that reliable. So Kyren, I think, is going to get paid. Puka they've already allocated money. They are going to make Puka probably the highest paid wide receiver whenever his time comes. They want him. They are going to keep him. Avila, I think that was the initial plan. He's struggled, as of late. So I'm hoping he has a really good game against the Eagles. I love Avila, so I'm hoping he does. But if he continues to struggle and say he has a bad year next year, he could fall out of favor. I do think they are going to pay him. Byron Young, I think they're going to let him go, but I know they like BY a lot. We'll see what ends up happening. I like BY a lot. He might not be that expensive, but he also could be expensive based on, we don't really know what it looks like. He's got 2 more years after this year. So, we'll see. Kobe Turner, I anticipate them paying him, being the guy, I really feel like they're going to view him as kind of the leader in the trenches there. He already is a captain. Fisk, they'll pay. Quentin Lake, that remains to be seen. They don't typically pay secondary guys that much, but while they've let guys like John Johnson and Ronnie McLeod and TJ McDonald go in the past and Mo Alexander, Quentin Lake is very important to what they do. Wears the green dot, gets guys lined up, very, very versatile. You talk about a guy that can play corner, slot corner, outside corner, safety, linebacker, blitz, cover, run support, just really does it all. And he's a guy they drafted in the 6th round. He loves LA. I could see him coming back. Cardi, he'll be a Ram. Ethan Evans will stay a Ram. Those 2 guys will probably end up being Rams for a long time. And then Jared Verse is they're already allocating funds to pay Jared Verse. I really think when you get a guy like that, you're already setting, as long as he doesn't have a huge drop off the rest of his career, if next year he doesn't, you know what I mean? He's getting paid. They're already talking about it. Those are already the conversations they're having. Make no mistake about it. They're already setting up their game plan based on some of these draft classes. And by the way, the great thing about draft classes is they're cost-effective ways to get these players, and now you have them for 4 years. So that's really what it's all about. If the Rams win the Super Bowl, do you think McVay considers retirement again? No, I don't. Why would he? He's gone to 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 of them in this hypothetical before the age of 40. I think if he keeps this up, I said on the live stream, I meant it, he can win 7 and pass Bill Belichick for the most in NFL history for a head coach. Because I think he is the next Bill Belichick. I do. While everyone's talking about the 3-peat and how Kansas City's this dynasty, what they continue to forget is that Andy Reid is older, okay? Sean McVay could be the next dynasty himself, okay? You look at what Stafford and him are doing together. Just wait. Everyone talks about John Wolford, all that. Sean McVay didn't do this, but Kyle Shanahan did this. Okay, give Sean McVay a first-round talented quarterback that he gets to choose and tell me if you think he's going to do something with him, because I 100% believe he would have success with whoever he drafts. And I do kind of have this feeling that the Rams aren't going to take a quarterback this year, and they'll find a way to get Drew Aller next year. I'm saying that now, trying to, I guess, speak it into the ether. We'll see what ends up happening. Do you think the Rams could have another amazing draft this year? Just wondering when the draft luck will run out. I do. The Rams draft works because they focus on football players and culture and key components like coachability. And, they care about all of these things that yeah, okay, maybe they're not going after the guy that just ran a 4.2 that has off the field issues, but they're going after the guy that they know can play the game, the guy that loves the game, the guy that's going to mesh well in their locker room, and the guy that ultimately is going to carry this team in the best light when he's off the field. And so I think for that reason, I feel like that's why it's going to continue to go. The Rams have stopped looking at 40 time and they have focused on their own GPS. The Rams have stopped focusing on measurables for UDFAs and focus on guys that just are good football players and they do the rest. And that's the thing. We're seeing guys that ran 4.8s at linebacker that weren't drafted this year that are starting and are playing well. And it kind of is a reminder, well, yeah, 4.8 speed doesn't sound great for a linebacker. When you get these guys on the field, they play faster than their 40 time. Also, the 40-yard dash means 40 yards in a straight line. It doesn't necessarily mean, the guy's slow in the first 10 yards, right? It doesn't mean that when, a short area burst doesn't exist with this guy. It just means for a vertical plane in a straight line, this guy runs this fast, 40-yard time. And we've used that as the end-all be-all for way too long. The Rams are rewriting their, the way they look at the draft, and it's working. It's why they've drafted probably the best draft class the last 2 years running. So I don't see this ending. I don't. Les Snead's not going anywhere. They might lose Ray Farmer. We'll see what ends up happening. They lost Ray Agnew. They lost Brad Holmes. But I think Sean McVay, Les Snead, that scouting department, and in a lot of respects, what Sean McVay does at replacing guys, I think I trust Les Snead to be able to replace scouting department if guys start leaving for bigger jobs. So that's how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong, but I expect them to have another great draft. I love their archetype. I love where their head's at. And they're not afraid to go a little bit outside the box and draft. And another thing, they draft older players. They want older rookies who have a higher floor, maybe not as high of a ceiling. Sacrifice that. Your hit rate's going to be higher. And so that's just that. Michael, thank you for the comment. Hey, Jake, big fan of the show. Really started watching at the beginning of the 2023 season. Haven't missed a video since. Appreciate you. Got 2 questions. If we sell out to stop the run, do you think Jalen Hurts in the position to take on the cornerbacks the Rams have? I understand Kello is a little bit hurt, especially with the hammy. It worries me a bit. 2, would it be wild to say if we beat the Lions, we mess with the Lions' whole organization? We might see their OC and DC gone. I don't think Goff is as good as quarterback as he's been without Ben Johnson. I think we could single-handedly send them back to a poverty franchise with a win in the NFC game. So, Michael, it looks like you looked too far ahead, which I commend. Yeah, I think what you just said about the Lions, I don't think they're going to be a poverty organization, but I do think they could take a step back. They're going to lose both their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. This felt like a really, really bad loss for the Lions. I think a lot of Lions fans knew this felt like a year they had to win the Super Bowl. If they don't, they're going to lose Ben Johnson. They could move off Jared Goff soon. Who knows? I don't think they do it this offseason, but if they don't win a Super Bowl next season and they put a lot of money and go out and get some really good players, and I could see it. Now, as far as the first thing, if we sell out to stop the run, do you think Jalen Hurts is in the position to take on the cornerbacks the Rams have? I understand the whole thing with Kello. I get that. I think they're going to be okay. I really think the Rams corners are playing at such a high level right now. Jalen Hurts can make throws. Jalen Hurts wasn't great against the Packers. I know he had a week to kind of work on that, but Jalen Hurts was in the concussion protocol. He's a good quarterback. I really like him. I root for him in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. The reality is this, though. While Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback, he does have his limitations. He can't make the throws that Stafford can, not all of them at least. And so I think if you do sell out to stop the run, you force Saquon Barkley into kind of a down game, and you force Hurts to win with his arm. I think that's the game that you want if you're a Rams fan. So we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, interesting stuff there. Blair, what is the one mistake the Rams can't make in the wild card round? I assume you mean the divisional round. They can't let Saquon get loose. When Saquon gets loose, he's thinking pay dirt every time. He's got the ability, not only the athletic ability to house any run, take any run and turn it into a home run, but he also is strong enough. There's a reason why they called him Say Quads as soon as he came out of the draft, because his quads are huge. He's so hard to bring down from either, tackling him on the lower level or tackling upper. He's just built so well as a running back. I just think with him, you're talking about a guy that's almost like 240 pounds of muscle. It's really hard to bring him down. Runs a 4.3. And when we talk about the 40 time, his 40 speed shows up. It matters because when he gets out in the open field, that's what you're seeing. So he can be a problem. If they let him get loose, he can break open the game. It's really that simple. Rank the best Rams running backs of all time, 1 being the best through 5. Okay. I'm going to say Eric Dickerson, number 1. It's tough. Eric Dickerson and Falk are 1A, 1B for me. So, I'm going to cheat there and say they're kind of tied. I guess I'll lean Dickerson number 1 just because Dickerson never had a chance to play with like the guys that Falk did. Now, Falk is probably the better overall back, but Dickerson is better at carrying the football than anything Falk is good at. And I mean that no disrespect towards Falk, but I don't know. Falk is probably the best pass catching back I've ever seen. I'll say Marshall Falk just because he has the more well-rounded game. So Falk, Dickerson, Gurley, and then we got 2 more. I'm going to say Dan Towler, 4th, and then 5th. Or excuse me. I'm going to go with Falk, Dickerson, Steven Jackson. Sorry, it's 332. Jackson at 3, Gurley at 4, Dan Towler at 5. That's how I feel. And Kyron Williams is working his way into that top 5. I think he's a special dude. Does not get enough love. Do you personally think the Rams will win the Super Bowl? I mean, I haven't seen this much energy since 2021. We can definitely do it. I do. I do. I kind of have gone back and forth like, oh, if they play the Bills, maybe they lose. I think they will win the Super Bowl. If they get past the Eagles, I just think right now with where the Commanders are at, as great as they are, I do think the Rams will have a plan. Sean McVay has gone up against Cliff Kingsbury before. He knows the way he works. I think Daniels not being able to play against his team in the past, that hurts him. But I also feel like with the Rams, they're going up against an offensive line that I don't think is very good. Now Cosme is out, so they're banged up. And they already have their left tackle out, so they're starting a rookie in Brandon Coleman. I just feel really good about the Rams. If they get into that, I think it'll be a close game. It'll be a tough game. But I think they win that because the closers at the end of the game, I think they'll come through, like a Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, so forth. And then, I think when you look at the Chiefs, I think they are probably the most beatable team. You take aside, the officiating. I know a lot of people talk about that. I think the Chiefs are the most beatable team. They don't do anything super special. They just have Patrick Mahomes and really good defense. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do think Spagnuolo is doing a thankless job in Kansas City. With that said, I think they're beatable. The Bills are beatable because we saw their defense. The question is, can they score on the level of the Bills like they did back in, week 14? That I don't know. Was that like a one shot? I mean, they're capable of it because they did it before. Could they do it again? I don't know. And then the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, it would be such an issue with his legs. And at the same time, playoff Lamar Jackson. But then again, if playoff Lamar Jackson gets to the Super Bowl, then he got over the hump. I'll take the Rams. I will. I think it's going to be Rams-Bills, and I think the Rams prevail. That's how I feel currently. We'll see what ends up happening. If we come up short this postseason, do you, Sean McVay / Snead, go crazy for big names in the offseason, trading for all pro players during the F them picks era? I could see them doing it. I would advise against it because regardless of how far they get, I think that they are really good. the defense doesn't really need anything. If you're going to invest anything, invest on the offense. Go out and trade for a Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave if they're available. But I wouldn't go crazy. Like, that's the thing. I hope to God they don't go crazy. Stay the course. Don't trade any of your draft picks unless you're getting somebody like just game breaking. That's how I would say. Are you tired of who won the trade? Yes, Watt, I absolutely am. Post from every social media page after the Lions and Rams game. It's getting kind of annoying. It will be insufferable if the Lions win the Super Bowl. Well, they're not doing that because they lost to the Commanders. But yeah, I get tired of the who won the trade. I don't give a rip. The Rams won the trade. They essentially won a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford is astronomically better than Jared Goff. And yeah, if the Rams win tomorrow, they're still playing. So that would be 6 playoff wins for Stafford and only 2 for Goff since they joined their respective teams. I know who I'm taking, and I don't care. One guy's younger than the other. You saw tonight, if you watched against the Commanders, why the Rams trade away Jared Goff. That simple. I want to see Tutu Atwell and Whittington more. It will confuse opposing defenses drastically. I do too. I don't know if we'll get that, but I hope so. Tutu Atwell did not see one single offensive snap last week, so there's a chance that maybe they were saving him for the Eagles game. We'll see. They should, but we'll see. Aaron, do you think the Detroit Lions played dirty with hits, or at least in the gray area? I've seen many people twisting legs and low hits. R.I.P. Higbee. Yeah, I do. I think they're dirty. I think it stems a little bit from maybe that Saints Bountygate connection there. I'm not accusing them of Bountygate now, but I'm just saying that kind of bloodline, kind of flows through Detroit, especially Dan Campbell. I want to respect their play, but I watch Anzalone. It just feels like he's trying to take a guy's head off, helmet to helmet, gets away with it. Kirby Joseph is the dirtiest player in the league. Yeah, I do think they're dirty. I do. Maybe not the entire defense, but a lot of them are. Jake, do you honestly believe the Rams have a better shot away in Philly? I do. Or is it just because Whitworth said it? You jumped on that train kind of quick. Yeah, he got me on the train. I didn't really think about it, but it makes a lot of sense because in the past, the Rams had such a high-octane offense that would work well in a dome. So typically speaking, you wouldn't want them playing on grass, and you definitely wouldn't want them playing on snow. Now, I watched this team in the Jets game. 3,000 miles away they travel after, beating the 49ers in the pouring rain. And I watched them travel, and they were just ready. It was tough. Some guys played poorly or didn't play up to their standard, but they found a way to win, and they kind of controlled the game in the fourth quarter in a game that they started off a little slow. So I feel like this offense is more of a grind type of 15 play drive instead of 5 to 7 play drive. And I think that works in Philly. I think that works in this game. They want to pound the rock. They want to use play action. They want to move the chains. They want to bleed the clock. And I think it works. I do. And their defense has been so huge that I genuinely think they're better off in Philly than giving Saquon Barkley turf to run on. That's what I think. Watt, run it. How worried are you about the snow Sunday? Not at all worried. Every time I envision the snow, I just think of the equalizer. I already felt like the Rams were going to win before the snow, but now, I think it really puts things into perspective. Having to tackle Puka Nacua is going to be really hard. Okay, I understand having to tackle Saquon Barkley is, but it's going to be a lot harder for Puka Nacua if they get him out into the second level on a pass. They throw the ball, and now you got these safeties or the cornerbacks that he's either as big as and strong as or stronger. And I could see guys just sliding off him. I envision number 17 having himself a huge game because no one can bring him down. I envision they're going to get him going in the run game. I do. I envision it. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if we see a wide back Puka Nacua is like Deebo Samuel in this game. I'm not saying they'll do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Personally, that is how I would operate. I would use jumbo packages with Jonah Jackson as the sixth offensive lineman, and I would use Puka Nacua in the backfield on times where I'm going to give Kyron a rest. That's just how I would do it. I think Puka in the backfield, he'd be such a problem to stop. And so I understand it takes a lot of, a toll on him, but you don't do it all game. You do it like 5 to 7 times, see what happens, get him going in the end arounds and things like that. I want to see the shovel pass. I want to see them steal it from Ben Johnson, the one that they ran in the Lions game. And I don't know if they will, but we'll see. Between Demarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell, who is most likely to be a Ram next season? I'm going to go with Tutu Atwell here. I think they kept his value down quite a bit. Demarcus caught 7 touchdowns. There's going to be a team that's willing to pay him. They both could be back. I'm going to lean Atwell on that. Great question. If Stafford wins another Super Bowl with the Rams, could that make the Rams want to retire number 9? They already should. They should already be thinking about retiring number 9. That guy has meant everything to their move to LA. Super Bowl would be 2. They've won 3 in their lifetime, 5 NFL titles if they won a 3rd Super Bowl. Yeah, I think Stafford should have his number retired. I also thought Kurt Warner should have his number retired. So, there's that. Not football related, just some questions so the viewers can get to know Jake the Snake. Perfect meal, including drink. Great question. I'm going to go with a New Haven style slice of pizza with a drink. New Haven style slice of pizza with some nice, warm, crisp fries, and I'm going to say a nice, crisp, I'm going to say a Blue Moon. I feel like that's like, dude, if I had that in front of me right now, I'd feel really good. Great question. Place you want to visit, most want to visit. Japan. It's starting to become more and more interesting to me going to Japan. I guess it's because I'm becoming an anime fan. I already love Dragon Ball, but now I'm starting to like appreciate anime more. So yeah, Tokyo, Japan. Let's see. Biggest fear, spiders. Next question. Favorite Marvel and DC character, Spider-Man and Batman. Superman versus Goku. Who wins? I'm going to say Goku. Sorry, I just think so. Last one. What advice would you give to a young Jake? Is that me? Like, who would I give? What would I give to young Jake, or like a young version of me? Like somebody else who's like a Jake? The advice I would give is this. Don't be afraid to fail. Set your bar and crush it. If you just put out a video and your bar is here, well, now you know you have to be better than this. If you set the bar up here, good. You set it high. That's great. Now you have to crush it. Now you're motivated. But you don't know like what you can do until you've set that bar. You don't know until you've set the expectation. You don't know what you're supposed to do. And so I always say, just hit record or go live. And I mean, I say this all the time. Focus on what your content is. Get a decent camera. Get a decent microphone so it sounds like you're not talking through a tin can. And that way, when those people click on your video for the first time, because the first time does make a good impression. But at the same time, just know when you go back and you watch that video 5-6 years from now, it's not going to look great. It's just not. It'll look good at the time you did it. You'll feel good, but you'll get better. That's why it won't look great, because your other stuff will be so much better. I do that all the time. I look back at my old videos. I'm like, oh my God. So that's what I would say. Love the content. As someone that was born and raised in California, we appreciate the stream, you and Alexis. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Final Flash. I love that. When and how did you become a Rams fan? Oh, I've told this story so many times. I became a Rams fan because my dad raised me to be a Rams fan. He was next door neighbors with Jim Youngblood. Growing up in Irvine, California, moved to New York, and I became a Rams fan. I don't know my life before I became a Rams fan. We'll just put it that way. What do you think Higbee's role will be against the Eagles? Will he have limitations in regard to his health? No, actually, I don't think he'll have any limitations because he doesn't even carry an injury designation. So I feel really good about Higbee, and I think he'll have a significant role. I think they're going to use him a lot. They're going to throw, mark my words, they're going to throw a lot more in this snow game than people realize. They are. I'm telling you right now. If you think this is just going to be running the football, pounding the rock, I think they could, but I really think they're going to throw it a lot more than people realize. Would you be okay if the Rams lose and give them a pass because of the cold and snow? I wouldn't be like, what do you mean by okay? I don't want to give them just like, yeah, it's okay if they lose. I would be accepting of a loss against a really good team against the Eagles if it's close. If they lose this game and they get blown out, I'd be really upset. Regardless, I'm really proud of this team and nothing will change that. What would you say is the Rams' identity? Their identity is they want to use their defense as an attacking defense, as a weapon, and their offense, they want to essentially, wear down defenses and eventually be able to have those 15, 17 play drives lead to touchdowns, but they're okay with them leading to field goals because it takes off time off the clock. They're scoring, and they believe their defense isn't going to give up too many points, where scoring 20 points might be enough to win ball games. So, yeah, that's their identity, really. Has it been in the past? No, but they are essentially a balanced offense that wants to bleed the clock. They use the pass, they use the run, they use the play action. And then the defense, they're a defensive-minded team. I mean, right now they're a pro defense team, and that's just the way it is with an elite quarterback. Mitch, Rams cheetah package is amazing, but with Saquon's Hurts agility, I believe we need more agility on defense in this game. We need to run lighter packages on 3 and 5 or greater to keep Hurts from having easier yards to the outside for first downs. I think that's absolutely fair. I do think cheetah package will come in handy when they're running, and then you get Michael Hoyt in the interior like that. Well, we'll see what they do. I agree with you, though. You got to be, cautious because Hurts can take off and move. Now, the one thing is, I think the snow is going to hurt Hurts. I don't think he's going to be able to take off, and he's not going to have the footing to just stop on a dime. That could help. With that said, guys are also probably going to slip when they're trying to get him. So just pray on both sides, no injuries. We want this to be a clean, healthy game, and may the best team win. Tom Brady or LeBron James? Well, I'm going to say LeBron James because I like LeBron James more than Tom Brady. I will say I have grown to respect Tom Brady a lot, and I don't hold a grudge against him anymore like I used to because, he ruined my childhood, essentially, by being the greatest show on turf and ending their likely dynasty. But I also really like Tom Brady, the broadcaster. He got a lot of flack early on. He worked at it. I think he's gotten much better each and every week. I like Tom Brady. I do. But I would say LeBron James because I've liked him much longer. What do you think about Jordan Mailata saying that the Vikings made the Rams pass rush look better than it actually is? So I didn't see that. And I don't... If you are 100% positive on that, I will respond with the idea that you are saying, because I didn't see it, so I can't comment exactly how I want to comment, knowing if it's 100% real or not. Because I'm not saying you would make it up, but I do see Instagram and other accounts on Facebook make stuff up all the time. Stupid AI ruins everything, so... I don't want to get Mailata in trouble for something he didn't do, but say he said this. I don't want to hear anything about Jared Verse putting up bulletin board material because he says he hates Eagles fans. He didn't say he hates the Eagles. If he's saying this, it's discrediting the Rams pass rush last week. And to me, that's bad. Yeah, I don't know why you would say that. So if he did say that, I don't know why. If he didn't, screw AI. That rhymed. Blair, Do you think we will see more Kobe and Akello since D. Will got outperformed by Kobe? Not saying D. Will did bad. I'm saying Kobe did better. I do, actually. I do think we see more Kobe than we have in weeks past. I think last week was kind of the precursor of what we're about to see the rest of the playoffs. Whether that's just this game or we move on and see the game against the Commanders or even going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's how I feel. So, yeah, I think we'll see more Kobe for sure. We'll definitely see Akello. Yeah. Who do you think the Rams will go after in the offseason? I just have this feeling that they are going to be interested in Joshua Palmer. He just does everything they look for. He is my Jawan Jennings in this free agency class. Remember, guys, I wanted Jawan Jennings for like 3 years. I always said he is being underutilized in San Francisco. He'd do wonders with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, and was hoping they wouldn't tag him. They gave him a second, round tender. Rams weren't going to do that, obviously, so we knew he was gone. Josh Palmer has been underutilized in a run-heavy Chargers offense. Palmer is a deep threat. He is a athletic receiver, good route runner, creates a lot of separation, can win at the point of attack, at the apex of where the ball is. And then in addition to that, he makes plays after the catch and he can block. He's a good blocker. So I just feel like while he's not a huge name, Joshua Palmer could be a 1,000-yard receiver with Stafford throwing him the football. Remember I said that. Josh Palmer. I'm going to be saying him a lot in the offseason. So when he goes and he signs with somebody else, I'm going to be upset, but I know it's going to happen. Should the Rams sign Jordan Mason, as it looks like he is hitting free agency? I would love Jordan Mason. If they signed him, though, that would be them giving up on somebody. You don't sign Jordan Mason and say, yeah, I'm really excited about Blake Corum's future. No. If you sign Jordan Mason, you are saying either Kyron Williams is out the door or Blake Corum's out the door. You don't sign Jordan Mason and keep all three of those guys. Like, I don't see that. So I don't think so. We'll see, but I don't think they go that route. What is the Rams' weakest position besides linebacker? The weakest position besides linebacker? Tight end? Like, while they have a lot of tight ends, Tyler Higbee is by far their best tight end, and he was hurt like the whole year, and he came back and instantly was the best. Parkinson just hasn't taken the step that I thought he would. Maybe he does next year, the year after. He's under a 3-year deal after all. But I feel like I really like Davis Allen, obviously, and I like Hunter Long, but that just feels like the weakest position for me. So I would say tight end. Who do you want the most from free agency this year if all projected free agents hit the market? This is a good question. Who do I want? Because, people could say Javon Holland, and I would say I feel really good about Cam Kinchins, Cam Curl, Quentin Lake, and, even bring back John Johnson another year. Who knows? So I wouldn't say that. Corner, I love where the corners are at. Maybe you add another guy via the draft, but I'm not keen on going crazy at corner. I think for me, there's a player that I think would really... I'm going to give you a dark horse on the defensive side. Then I'm going to go over the offensive side. Dark horse, Jamie Sherwood from the Jets would fit like a glove at linebacker if they moved on from Roseboom. Not saying they should. Offense... it's tough because the problem is T. Higgins is so injury prone, but I'm probably going to go with T. Higgins. There's just not a lot of options at tight end that are available that I like. Jawan Johnson is going to be the best option, and I'm not really super high on him. So I'm going to say T. Higgins or Chris Godwin. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. What do you think is the most underrated Rams team of all time? Most underrated Rams team? I think to a degree, the team against the Saints that lost the Saints, dropped the ball. Hakeem dropped the ball. That was pretty underrated. That goes without saying. Some of the teams, Well, you know what? I'm just going to say it's 1951 Rams. No one talks about them. They're never brought up because they weren't in the Super Bowl era. The 1951 LA Rams are so underrated. They won the NFL championship. They had a crazy, we never see anything like that today with Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin and this platoon quarterback, rotation. Crazy Legs Hirsch in a 12-game span had some of the craziest stats you'll ever see. No pun intended. 51 team, man. I would probably say the 51 team. I know they won, so normally you'd probably go with a team that maybe they didn't win. That's why that's the most underrated Rams team, because whoever talks about them aside from me. They get brought up here and there because of the uniforms, but it's like, what Joe Stidhar did was so impressive. And then they moved on from him for Hampton Poole, and it just ruined the team. They went into a rut for a while. So Stidhar was different, doesn't get enough respect, and so, yeah, I'll say them. Are you feeling confident of the Rams next year? If you take a look at the opponents next year, we have one of the easiest matchups. They're about middle of the road. I'm definitely feeling confident about the Rams next year. Definitely. When did you become a Rams fan and why? I am someone from New Jersey, and people always ask me this. You are from New York, and maybe people ask you this there too. Oh, people ask me this all the time. Like I said earlier, from my dad, so there's that. Did you hear that the Raiders drafted the wrong Byron Young? I did. This is hilarious and very on brand. Sad. I mean, it makes sense. I had a priority free agent grade on Byron Young, the Alabama, defensive lineman. And then I had a late second, early third round grade on Byron Young, the Tennessee player. So, man, I still can't believe an NFL team did that. Anyway, we move. Before the Rams beat the Vikings, it was Minnesota is so dangerous at 14-3 they will win. Now it's Minnesota was never that good. Sam Darnold sucks. Of course the Rams beat them. Why do the tables turn so much when it comes to the Rams? And this is real. This isn't just a fan thing that you're saying. We all saw this when it came to the Bengals. When they beat the Bengals were like this team of destiny, right? Joe Burrow is going to win all this. And then they beat them. Now all of a sudden, that was the easiest road ever. And then the Rams go 5-12, and see, they were frauds. And it's like, so I get what you're saying. It does feel like there's always a backhanded compliment when it comes to the Rams. They can never just give them credit, and I'm so tired of it. Same with Stafford, So yeah, I mean, does it have anything to do with Kroenke moving them to LA and pissing off people? Maybe. Does it have anything to do with Frontier moving them from LA to St. Louis? Maybe. But either way, there's definitely something there. There always has been since I've been a kid. There's always been that. What will be the excuse people come up with to cope with the Rams when the Rams beat the Eagles? Wow, you are confident. I'm sure it'll be all about what the Eagles did wrong and how they lost the game versus the Rams just winning the game. I don't want to get too much into this because there is still a realistic shot the Rams lose to Philly. I do have the Rams winning, but anything can happen. I don't know, man. I think if the excuse people would come up with is probably the officiating. Like that is everyone's excuse, whether it's legitimate or not. So that's what I would say. Kendrick Lamar clears Drake. I don't like Drake at all. I think he's a little weird. Some of his lyrics are weird. Kendrick said everything in the diss track he did. I just respect Kendrick Lamar a lot more. Drake just annoys me. Which fans are worse, Eagles or Lions? I feel like both have been giving us Rams fans trouble on Twitter. The worst experience I've ever had on Twitter was last year with Lions fans. They doxed my home address. They essentially review bombed all of my podcasts. They were downvoting all my YouTube videos, trying to hurt my algorithm status. Just insufferable. Eagles fans are annoying to a degree. I've never had an issue with them until now, but it's like they're annoying because they're just like, yeah, we're going to win. They're acting like this is a David versus Goliath thing, which, look, the Eagles are probably the better team. They're probably more talented. But right now, I think the Rams are the hotter team, and I think the Rams will win this game. But it just the way they talk about them, it's like, oh, God, shut up. It's so unappealing. It's annoying because I used to like the Eagles way back when. They were like my second team. You know, like how when kids are in elementary school or middle school, they have like multiple teams. I was always a Rams fan through and through, but I also like the Eagles because they were like my playoff team when the Rams would obviously not make the playoffs. So, yeah, it's... The Eagles fans can be a little annoying. The Lions fans were disgusting. They were really rude. And when I say Lions fans, I just mean those Lions fans. There are great Lions fans that follow this channel, that watch all my videos. I don't have any issue with those people. I have an issue with the ones that were attacking my co-host, saying some heinous shit towards her, doxing my home address, all that stuff. That stuff has no place. And of course, it's these people that hide behind these avatars, no faces, no first and last name, saying just absolutely heinous stuff they would never say to my face. You know, that's just the way it is. And I talked about it in the live stream. I'm not going to deal with it anymore. I'm just going to let it just go. Like, whatever, you say what you will. Not going to bother because they're useless. They're worthless. And yeah, they're just projecting their negativity and their waste of spacefulness, which I just created, and just let it happen onto me and other people. And I'm just not going to buy into that. So, yeah. What is your percentage of confidence that the Rams win on Sunday? So, the Vikings game, I had a 99.8% chance that I believe the Rams were going to win. I was 99.8% sure. I'd probably even say 100. I was so just, no one was beating the Rams on that night. They could have played the 85 Bears, and they would have found a way to win. They could have played the greatest show on turf. They would have won. I really don't believe anyone on that night was beating the Rams. This is a little different. They're going on the road. They're going to Philly. It's going to snow. The Eagles are probably a better, well-rounded team. They don't have better coaching. They don't have a better quarterback, but all around, they're probably a better team. My percentage of confidence the Rams win on Sunday is 75-25. So not as high as the Vikings. If they beat the Eagles, I think over the Commanders, I would probably go 70-30. And then the Super Bowl, I would go like 65-35. That's probably what I would do. I kind of answered questions that you didn't even ask, but I just was going, so why not? Why are the Rams disrespected every year? A lot are saying we have no shot to win on Sunday, mainly media. Well, because this Rams team was 1-4. Because this Rams team, a lot of people only watched the Eagles game when they, whooped them. I mean, the game was still closer than people realized, but Sunday Night Football, they won by 17. That's all anyone was talking about. They watched the Monday night game against the Dolphins. They watched them lose to the Lions, and they're like, oh, they just lose in primetime. A lot of these people aren't watching every Rams game. They didn't watch the Jets game. They just looked at the Jets game, and they're like, you got to beat the Jets by more than 10. No, they literally traveled 3,000 miles to go to that game, and they played in the coldest weather of Sean McVay's career. So, it's just a lot of context is needed, and they don't always have it. If Dragon Ball and football didn't exist, what would you be doing right now? Sobbing. If I knew that they existed and then all of a sudden they got erased like that, I would be so depressed. Like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with my life? What would I be doing right now? I mean, if I didn't have football, then baseball would probably be my number one sport. So I'd still probably be covering the Yankees or something like that, but I don't even want to think about that. Let's not think about that. Jake, you said all hands on deck. So do you think they'll play Troy Reader to load up the box on rundowns, or is he just insurance in case a player goes down? Let's go D Mighty Rams. Stop their offense. Great question, Neil. I'm going to say they really just are going to use Troy Reader as depth. If they need him, maybe they have a sub-package play for him, but I don't think they're going to go crazy with him now. Do you think the Lions are the team of destiny? I never did, and I definitely don't now that they're eliminated. I had them losing the Commanders. They were injured all year. I think their injuries, though, while they're significant, some of them, like don't get me wrong, it's significant to lose a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, who might even be the best pass rusher in the league right now. But most of their offense was intact. The defensive guys they lost, like the depth they had, like it wasn't that big of a deal. The injuries are overblown. The Rams have dealt with plenty of injuries in the past, and no one gave them a sob story about that, especially 2022. So obviously the job Campbell did, I give him a lot of credit, but I do think it's a little overblown. It's not like they lost Jared Goff. It's not like they lost Jahmyr Gibbs. It's not like they lost Amon-Ra St. Brown. They didn't lose Sam Laporta. They didn't lose Jamison Williams. Their offensive line wasn't decimated. That's how I feel. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I never bought them as the team of destiny. I bought them as they better win this year before Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn leave. I think Aaron Glenn's overrated, though. I don't think he's like a great defensive coordinator. I think he's like good. Ben Johnson is probably the best offensive coordinator in football, and that's significant. And he is going to leave. I think he's going to go to the Raiders, but we'll see. Have you changed your tune on the Rams winning Sunday? I noticed on Twitter, the podcast, you said the Eagles may win, but the Rams aren't going out with no. So I believe the Rams are going to win. But like I was saying, 75-25 doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's a guarantee, okay? I guaranteed the Rams to win against the Vikings. I never once felt like the Vikings were going to win that game. The Rams weren't going to go 2 straight seasons with no playoff wins. Just wasn't going to happen. They could absolutely lose this game, no doubt about it. And the Eagles are a really good team. I just don't really trust Nick Sirianni against Sean McVay in a playoff game. Sirianni is 3-3. Sean McVay is 8-4. Jalen Hurts has gotten to the promised land. He has not done that since Gannon, and Gannon doesn't really matter. As much as I like the guy, since Steichen left, they have not gotten to that point. So I'm kind of expecting a letdown from Philly tomorrow. I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm kind of expecting a letdown. Philly feels a lot like a team that, let's put it this way, people hate on the Rams because they say that they didn't play anybody. That's been a Philly Eagles fan type of thing, right? They keep saying, well, the Rams didn't play anybody. Well, I'm going to pull this up right now because I want to show you guys my thought process here, okay? Because you can say the Rams didn't play anybody all you want. But look at this right here. We're going to, as you can see, the Rams had a 505 strength of victory and a 441 strength of schedule and a 441 strength of victory. Look at the Eagles. And you say the Rams didn't play anybody? Look at that. I actually think this is going to matter more than people realize. I really do. I think this is going to matter more than people realize, and I think the Rams are going to win. Could be wrong, but I really do feel that way. And then again, the Commanders, it didn't really matter, but who cares? I mean, regardless, the point is that's not real. The Rams didn't play an easier schedule. Nothing proves that. So, yeah. Anyway. What do you think the Rams draft in 2024 season would have been like if Aaron Donald didn't retire? Do they draft Verse? Do they trade up for Fisk? Well, they don't do any of that. I think they would have found some way if Donald came back. They probably would have had some insight Donald was leaving, so potentially they trade up for Verse or they trade up for Fisk. I don't think they get Verse. I think they probably would have just done it. I think they would have done whatever it took to get up and get Bowers. So I think they would have Bowers and Fisk potentially, but I don't think they'd have Verse. Maybe they trade up for a tackle. Probably not. I feel good about they would have traded up for Bowers, but who knows? It's a great question, though. What are your thoughts on a fan not picking their team to win the game? There's been discussion in the Discord on this, and some people say you're not a real fan if you pick your team to lose. I disagree. What are your thoughts? Couldn't disagree more. There's no such thing. If you're a fan and you don't think your team's going to win, that doesn't make you not a fan. That just makes you objective. Or, if that's your shtick, like whatever, like, oh, I just always pick up against my team. But like, who cares? Like if somebody picks against their team, who cares? That's just what they think is going to happen. They're trying to be honest. There's nothing wrong with that. What were your thoughts on Jared versus comments about hating Eagles fans? We might have a villain player now, something I don't think we've had in a while. I don't think it's that deep. They can all complain and whatnot. I mean, I get it. Like, he did hate on them, but I also don't really care. I mean, that fan base was trying to get my friend canceled for taking video of one of the Eagles fans like verbally assaulting and harassing his fiance. So again, that's not all Eagles fans, but a lot of them were, and I'm kind of over all it, so I don't really care. They're going to hate whoever they hate. They booed Santa Claus. Are they all bad? Absolutely not. I met this guy at a Foo Fighters concert who was doing security. I talked to him the whole show, and he was like the nicest dude. He's an Eagles fan. He literally follows me on social media now. Like, we're friends. And the dude is the nicest guy ever. Not everybody represents the fan base, right? Like, accurately. Like, not everybody is bad. Not everybody is good. You got bad seeds. You got good seeds. Like, that's just the way it is. I think the majority that I've interacted with are negative, but to be fair, the bias there is that I've only interacted with them when the Rams play them. I mean, what else are they going to say? Yeah, I can't wait for the Rams to... No, so, I mean, it is what it is. Why in the world did Todd Gurley wear an Eagles jersey in that DirecTV commercial? I know he's your guy, but that's very suspect of him as someone who's considered Rams royalty. There's not one good reason why it shouldn't be a Rams jersey. What say you? So I guess that was filmed in November. It was a little weird to me, too. It's getting reposted like it just came out. But no, it was filmed in November. Todd is a fan of the league. The Eagles, they had nothing against the Rams, and Rams had nothing against Eagles, so it was nothing like that. I think he's just representing a player that he likes in the league, Players do that. He has every right. I mean, it was a little weird, the timing of it. I guess it got reposted, but yeah, that was something that was aired in like November, I guess. So I don't put too much stock in that. Why would the Rams bench Tutu to lower his contract value, knowing it could hurt the team and cost the team he could help win? If they bring him back on a cheap deal, what's to stop them from trying to reduce his value again for his next contract? They haven't used him properly during his rookie deal, so why would that change moving forward? Fair question. I really could not tell you. I don't think they didn't use him against the Vikings to lower his value. I do think this year they did try to lower his value. Maybe not in a negative, maybe kind of indirectly, knowing like, okay, we have Demarcus Robinson, like whatever. But I really feel like he didn't get on the field against the Vikings because they knew they didn't need him and they wanted to save him so there wasn't any playoff tape of him catching passes, being involved in the offense, because they plan on using him against Philly. Could be wrong, but that's maybe a hope of mine. Why is the media looking past McVay? Is far better than Sirianni, and A.J. Brown was completely disengaged and reading books during the game last week. Yeah, I mean, A.J. Brown's banged up, and Nick Sirianni is not better than Sean McVay, but... Could you see what players are in a contract year, say if you would or wouldn't sign him? Yes. Okay, so Ahkello Witherspoon, yes. I'd sign Bobby Brown. I'd sign Michael Hoyt. Roseboom, who's a restricted free agent, I would sign. I'd bring back Alaric. I'd pretty much sign everybody, except that I probably wouldn't bring back Robinson because I think he'll get paid. So I'd probably bring back Tutu, let D-Rob go. Hunter Long, I'd probably let go. I like him, but I'd still probably let him go. I'd probably bring back Ronnie Rivers, depending on if it was cheap enough. I'd bring back Jimmy Garoppolo to be the backup next year. Draft a quarterback next year. John Johnson. I mean, like I said, I'd bring back most of these guys. Is that realistic? Maybe not, but they do have like $54 million in cap, so. Yeah, that's what I would do. If you could bring back a retired Rams player in their prime to help the Rams win the Super Bowl this year, who would it be? Give me Isaac Bruce. What free agent would you like the Rams? What free agent would you like the Rams to try to get them this offseason? I feel like I already answered this quite a bit, but I want to say, yeah, like Higgins or Godwin or Jamie Sherwood. If us and the Commanders both win, do you think they will play in SoFi or would they move it to Arizona again? I believe it would be in SoFi. It's been way too long since. I understand everything that's going on with the Fires, but they should be able to play at SoFi. I'm pretty sure the Lakers, and I can look this up, but I'm pretty sure the Lakers are playing at the Staples Center now. So let me just check. Let's check. Why did I go to the NFL? Let's go to the NBA. Okay. Let's go to Friday. Yeah, the Lakers just play it at Staples Center against the Nets. And then, yeah, like Clippers are probably playing as well. Did they play today? Thursday? No, Clippers were on the road. Yeah, the Lakers are playing home games in LA, dude. I got to be honest with you. I think they're going to play at SoFi. I know it's outside to a degree, but I still think they're going to play at SoFi. As long as they take care of business, obviously. What do you think it would be smart to trade our picks so we can have more picks when we have to replace Stafford and make it easier to trade up and get the best quarterback? So are you saying like trade them for next year? Like, no, I think that they should just use them and maybe trade down, trade up, like, wheel and deal. But I don't necessarily think they should be setting it up for next year. I think they should just cross that bridge when they get to it. Do you think Tutu Atwell's stock is being kept low? So why do you think that? I do. And kind of just answering it earlier, I just think that you can do it indirectly. You got Jordan Whittington, you got DeMarcus Robinson, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. I think it's being done almost indirectly, but yes, I do think they're keeping his stock low, and I think he could be back. We'll see what ends up happening. What do you think about Kobe Durant? Do you think the Rams will bring him back and try to keep him long term? I am starting to feel like Kobe Durant is playing himself into a contract. We'll see if that ends up being coming to fruition, but they really do like the land shark. We'll see. Do you see Puka retiring a Ram? I don't know. I feel like that's way too far out. I mean, I see him playing 10 years for the Rams at least, so maybe. But at the same time, Torrey Holt didn't retire a Ram. Isaac Bruce didn't retire a Ram. Jerry Rice didn't retire a 49er. Guys don't always stick with their team. Devontae Adams didn't stick with the Packers. So I don't know for sure. I hope so. But yeah, I don't know for sure. How do you think the NFL will fix the ref situation? I mean, I don't know how you fix it. I don't know. I mean, you got football analysts that I've never seen complain about officiating, calling out the officiating for the Chiefs. So I don't know. I don't know if it gets fixed. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, good question. David, how would you feel about going after Daniel Jones as a possible heir to the throne post Stafford? I've been a firm believer that New York has held back his full potential. He could flourish with a competent organization. Even if he doesn't work out as a franchise guy, I wouldn't mind him as a bridge to whoever does become the guy. I don't dislike Daniel Jones like everybody else, but I don't think he's that great. The guy that I think I would be interested in would be Zach Wilson. If there is one guy out of this, it's probably either Zach Wilson or Trey Lance for me. I'm even somewhat interested in Mac Jones over Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones would probably be my least favorite option of all the disgruntled quarterbacks. But Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, I wouldn't be against taking a flyer on any of those guys. I really wouldn't. Part of me believes Trey Lance would still do something. Also, it'd be the biggest FU to Kyle Shanahan if Sean McVay picked him up for nothing and turned him into a star. Oh my God, that'd be insane. But the guy that feels the most likely to become something in this league is Zach Wilson. I just feel like the way they rushed him out with Rodgers and everything. I mean, I don't know. I trust Zach Wilson more than I trust the other guys. I think Trey Lance has the stuff to be really good. So if McVay did have to develop him, I think he could. But I think Zach Wilson has the best chance to turn his career into something and kind of follow that mold that Bryce Young has. I think he could be like Bryce Young was, that kind of reawakening he had. Solo leveling fans out there know what I'm talking about. But the reawakening Bryce Young had at the end of the season, that's what I think Zach Wilson could be. That would be a fun quarterback to kind of, the reclamation project, if you will. But anyway, we made it to the end. Appreciate all the questions, comments, concerns, everything in the mailbag. What a fun one, man. Kind of ran out of gas at the end, so I hope I didn't come off as I was short with anybody. Just a lot of different questions, some repeating, obviously. So really appreciate you guys. And once again, just want to let you guys know to check out the lounge. Going to keep churning out content. We got Stephanie Nadolny, who is the voice of Kid Goku and Gohan. She is coming on soon. We got some other awesome guests, so stay tuned. This thing is going to explode. I believe in it. I just need your help. And I got almost 29,000 people in here subscribed to this channel. That could really do me wonders if they just hit the subscribe button on the lounge. All you got to do, link is in the description. It's also on my channel itself. You can just find it, boom, hit it right then and there. And there you go. So appreciate everyone that supported. Also appreciate Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Again, this is my lineup here. We got Will Howard. That's going to be Monday, so don't freak out if you're, oh my God, everything hit, but this guy hasn't done anything yet. They don't play till Monday. So Will Howard, Demarcus Robinson just needs 19. Kyron Williams just needs 76 rushing yards. Puka Nacua needs 3 rushing yards. Tyler Higbee needs 29 receiving yards. And Dallas Goedert needs 4 receptions. You hit this, you win $125. You don't hit it, and if you're new, you type in the code JK Bogan, you sign up, you play a $5 lineup. You don't hit it, you get $50 instantly. So again, I appreciate you guys. As always, really enjoy doing these. We'll just keep it going. We're going to do it every single week. So buckle up, ask some great questions, and I'm going to try and give the best answers possible. Hope you guys enjoyed almost a full-length feature film. I always joke about it because it always ends up being like an hour, and you could have watched some movie in the time it took here, or the first full pilot episode, which is the double episode of Suits. But anyway, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Go Rams. Hopefully the next time we're talking about this, we are talking about the Rams about to face the Commanders in the NFC title game at SoFi Stadium. Take care, folks. Later. And just a quick reminder, my new YouTube channel, if you want to support me further, it is The Lounge. I'll be having all sorts of guests from athletes, entrepreneurs, musicians, artists, actors, you name it. I am going to bring them on. So I'm looking forward to this show. It's going to get off the ground very shortly. We're over 500 subscribers. So it'd be really awesome to get to 1,000 before we even drop our first video, which will be soon. That's asking a lot. But if you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and can't wait to see you guys there. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel. And if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.